Danny Greaves, obviously very grateful to be able to speak to you again after a traumatic defeat at Marlow yesterday. Clearly, there were some emotions behind what you said in the aftermath. 24 hours on, talk us through how you feel about the loss yesterday.
Yeah, I think it's always difficult directly after a game to come out and talk, especially in such a big game. Obviously, it is such a big game. I know we're not even halfway through the season yet, but we all knew the magnitude of the game for both clubs at this stage in the season, and to lose the way we did in the final minutes of the game to lose 2-1. But more the manner of the performance and the way we lost the game, I was disappointed with, because I truly believed, having spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks watching Marlow with our games being called off. I've had the opportunity to watch them over the last two weekends. And I truly believed, and this is no disrespect to them, that we had the quality in the squad to go and win the game. So to ultimately lose that game was really disappointing. Um, and then you quickly assess the whole season in those few minutes after the game, and you sat with one win, um, 11 defeats, five draws, and it's far from good enough. And there's loads of reasons behind it, which we'll probably touch on. But um, yeah, I still expect more from the group, and even in yesterday's game, I expected more from myself, and I expect more from the team. So it was pure emotion and disappointment right there and then.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know that you're brutally honest at times about your own performance levels, especially. You said that what was mentioned in the post-match interview was what you'd said to the boys in the dressing room. Uh, it must be extremely tough to, I don't know, not that I'm a particularly tough interviewer, but to come out straight away and have to think on the spot when, I don't know, you're fuming or you're upset.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really difficult. It's hard enough to go into a dressing room and address the players after a great win. Sometimes you go in there too emotional and you're a little bit too high, and you over celebrate a performance potentially. And then equally, when you come in after a bad result, sometimes it's raw emotion. You haven't had a chance to watch the goals back. You haven't had a chance to watch the performance back. And a lot of times when you do actually watch those back, is it's not as bad as it seems in real time. So you've got to be really careful when you go into a dressing room, and when you address the media team after a game. But sometimes when you do speak from the heart, it's true meaning, and sometimes that can be quite powerful as well. So yeah, I mean, it's 24 hours on. I've had a time to reflect, but I stand by everything that I said in yesterday's interview, and the fact that um, it's not good enough, irrelevant of all of the reasons. It's not good enough to be sat here with one win at this stage in the season, and to lose that game yesterday was not good enough, because I expect more of myself, and I expect more of the players and the group that we've got available, and I expect better performance levels. And there's reasons why we're not getting that. And we all, players, management, staff, everybody has to look at themselves, and I expect the players to go away and do that. And then ultimately we need to find a way forward. And as I said, if it's not me, it'll be somebody else at the time when I spoke to you yesterday. But I think what whoever it is, they need to get more out of this group of players, and ultimately there needs to be changes, because the dynamic in the group just isn't quite right at this minute in time, and that's my responsibility, and I'm going to work hard to fix that.
So, kind of on that note, the board has agreed that it will stand by you, and to quote, they're going to give you your full backing while you work through any changes that you feel required to ensure we pick up more points. That must be a boost, despite the results. That must be a boost to you personally.
Yeah, no, it always is. It's important, I think, to know that you've got the backing of your bosses ultimately. And I think that's where I was yesterday. I felt like we'd let the club down, the board, the supporters, the volunteers who all work so hard, and um, the players aren't going out there and performing badly intentionally. There's a lot of reasons behind it. I think we can all do more. That's the disappointing thing. I think we can all do more. But yeah, to receive the backing of the board, there's been a lot of conversations, obviously, yesterday evening, yesterday night, this morning, again this afternoon, and I think all of us had some long, hard thinking to do, myself included. Um, have I got the energy? Have I got the drive? Can I motivate these players? Can I build another side to go again? And ultimately, I can do that. I think I've proven that over the 6 and a bit years that I've been at the club. I think if you look over the years, the squad's been built 2 or 3 times. I've been on the on the edge of essentially leaving or getting sacked or being called to get sacked on numerous occasions over the years. And I've always found a way to rebuild a team. I've always found a way to get a successful side on the pitch. And that's what I intend to do again. I think I'm pretty clear. I think I know what needs to be done. Um, and that's what I'm going to set about with Simo, my assistant. We know what needs to happen. We've got a clear plan, and it's going to take some time to get there because ultimately, I think there does need to be some changes to the playing personnel, and that doesn't happen overnight, especially in the position we're in at the moment. It's difficult to recruit. We've been trying to recruit all season, um, and but we'll continue to work hard and we'll make some changes. We'll stick to our principles, which I have to say, I know I'm going on a little bit now, but I think I think I always hold my hands up and look at myself first. And I think with where we are with the squad and the dynamic and the group of players, the profile of players that we've got, I think I've probably come away from my principles a little bit, especially over the last few weeks in terms of how I ask the team to play, whether it be shape, whether it be style of play, whether it be how we defend, how we press. I've made compromises to maybe accommodate some frailties elsewhere in the team, but I've ended up causing more issues with 7 or 8 of the players who are used to playing or can play the way I want them to play. So I need to be really really clear on what I'm asking the players to do. Stick to my principles, stick to what I know works because I'm very clear on that, and I know if we do that, we'll turn our fortunes around, and whether that will be Tuesday, Saturday, or in a month's time, or in 2 months' time, I'll get a group of players and a team out there who will perform the way I want them to perform, and perform the way the fans expect us to perform, like we have done over previous years, and give us a team to be proud of. And I've done that before. This group of players, the majority of them, been there and done that before. And I have no doubt with a few tweaks and a few changes here and there, we can get back to that.
I mean, yeah, you talk about kind of resuscitating this side, and
Here's that.
my first season, I think was, we went into Good Friday against Slimbridge, and it was looking pretty hairy. We weren't far off the relegation zone, and went on this
Yeah.
amazing winless run. I mean, you must have the kind of toolbox now, 7 years in, to kind of implement what you need to go and change. When you talk about drawing on yeah, your experiences in 7 years of being the manager here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is my 7th season here now, and we've had a couple of occasions where it's been similar to this, and that season there was the season before last. And you're exactly right. I had very very similar feel to this year where um, we started accommodating things, changing the shape. We went to Exmouth at the end of January, lost that game 5-0 or 5-1, I think it was, and that was felt like a moment similar to the one we're going through now, where it was right, we can't keep going like this. Something needs to change, and we did. We made changes. We made changes to the personnel. We got back to what we want the players to do, how we want to look in and out of possession, And we got things right ultimately. And we, like you say, we went on that run. We were top of the form guide come the end of the season, in the last 10 games or so. And we went from a side which was only a couple of points out of relegation zone in February to a side that nearly made the playoffs on the last game of the season. And those are the experiences, along with others, that I will draw on in my 360 games, I think it is now as manager, 260 games plus, at Froome now. I've won nearly half my games and I've lost less than a third of my games. So in terms of myself, I have absolute belief that I know what it takes to win games, not lose games, and that's what I need to draw upon over the remainder of this season. And um, we'll make sure that we're better than what we've been over the first 17 games. And if that's enough, excellent. If it's not, we'll ensure that we put the foundations in place now to ensure that we will be better for it in the long run.
I mean, it definitely counts for something. From where I'm stood, you can see a handful of the fans on the various social media platforms reacted with kind of gratitude at your honesty and your bravery after that interview was published. That must also, the board support is huge, but having the fan support must be massive going into a festive period like we've got.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's really tough. I think everybody, most of the support base knew how difficult this season was going to be. Did they think it would be this difficult? No. Did I? No. Did I think we would be able to compete in this league? Absolutely, I did. I had full belief in what we were doing, but um, I think there's a number of circumstances but behind it in terms of dreadful injuries to key players, and that can't be underestimated. To lose John Davis for the season, to lose Matt Smith for the season, to lose Reece Rusher before a ball's even kicked, in pre-season. They're big losses. To lose Warren Maidment for a chunk of the season, George Rigg missing a chunk of the season, and yeah, playing through the pain barrier for us. And we know his time's coming to an end with his hip injury. It's just it's massive, and you can't legislate for stuff like that sometimes. And ultimately, my job is to try and fill those gaps. We lost Kane, we lost Meeks, which has been well documented. We made some signings in the summer. One we had massive high hopes for. Turned down a number of other players to bring this particular player in who we've been chasing for a while. Thought he was really key to how we want to play. Um, Unfortunately, he departs in pre-season with a few weeks to go, which leaves you scratching around. And then there's been other signings that I've brought in, and for various reasons, they're no longer at the club because I need people who want to be at the club, who want to work, who want to be professional and prepare properly. And if those lads don't do that, then unfortunately they need to leave, and I need to try and find people who can. So it's been really challenging on the playing front, and the ones who are here, I think the fans can see they are trying. There's been um, there's been a we had a really good, positive run of fixtures where we ground out some positive results, some draws, kept some clean sheets. Boys worked immensely hard, and then we've had to go for games again more recently, and maybe that's left us a little bit exposed. And but the two defeats that we've had of late, the Winchester and the Marlow, are obviously damaging, for morale and confidence because their teams in and around us. But in the main, the supporters have been absolutely incredible, supporting us, positive words, positive support towards the players, which is the main thing. I'm a big boy, I can handle it. The players are the ones who have to go out there and perform, and they need the support. Of course, you're always going to get a few,
Yeah.
who will want to change. Of course, they want to change a manager. Last year there were calls for a change of manager, when we were top of the league, and we had the odd defeat, but we ultimately went on and won promotion. So I'm big enough to handle it. I think I've got the tools to be able to manage this great club, and try and keep us up. If not, rebuild to go again. And that's what I aim to do. And I know the players feel exactly the same.
Yeah, kind of zeroing in on the players. Uh, I mean, you were relatively quick out of the dressing room after a defeat like that. And I'm sure everybody wants to know kind of what was the reaction of them. Who among the players is calling the shots after a defeat like
Yeah,
that?
um, I think we've had a few post-match conversations after some defeats that we've had of late, and there's I think yesterday it was a very quiet dressing room, heads down. Obviously, I go in and say my piece, but um, I think ultimately it was a case of everybody having a look at themselves. I think we've spoken quite a lot, and in my view, it wasn't a time for words. It wasn't a time for um, a post-mortem, if you like. It was a case of everyone, we need to just take a look at ourselves. We've let people down. And I think that was ultimately how the dressing room was left. It was a very quiet, somber dressing room, and lads ultimately disappointed. They do care. I think people need to realise that they do care. And nobody goes out there to perform badly. But ultimately, I think we can do more. I think the players could do more. And that's what I need to be demanding of myself and of them.
I mean, so the players, I don't, were they psyched up? Was it a matter of staying calm for a game like that? In hindsight, could could they have approached the game in any other way?
Yeah, I think there's I think the first 5, 10 minutes I thought we set out to do what we tried to do, and that was to try and control the game and try and keep possession against the team who were going to drop into a low block and make it difficult for us. We tried to control it. And I think we did that for spells. But the confidence is so low at the moment, and it takes a moment, a couple of long throws, a couple of free kicks, and all of a sudden it feels like the opposition have managed to get on top when the reality is they haven't. They've just had a couple of long throws into the box, and you've got to defend those moments. But I think the tide turns a little bit, and you start doubting yourself when you start conceding territory. I also think tactically I got it wrong, and I tried to address that half time with a couple of changes, or with a change and a slight change in tactics and formation, and I think that had the desired effect. So there are a number of things behind it. The players were certainly motivated. The players were certainly hungry to go and get a result. They knew the magnitude of the game. Um, we hadn't played for 3 weeks, and that has a factor in it as well. No matter how much you train, when you don't play, you're not in a rhythm. It takes some time, and yeah, a number of factors led to that result.
And kind of back to the statement, a running theme is the you know the budget.
Yeah.
Obviously, and you've said this before, that is not the reason why we were in this situation, not the only reason, but it's really bloody tough in this league, right?
It is. It is. And yeah, I don't want to keep making excuses, but ultimately, when you assess a league table, usually the team at the top are the ones with the biggest budgets, and the team at the bottom are the one with the lowest budgets. And I think that's just a fact. But I do think I'm not using that as the sole reason. We've got some very good players in the group, and we do have a budget. We had one of the better budgets in the league last year. But ultimately, recruitment's been a challenge. There have been numerous players that I've spoken to in the summer to try and strengthen the group, and equally since the season started up until this point now, and they've ended up at other clubs in this league because we just those conversations, a lot of them don't last very long because we just can't compete. There's a lot of very decent money in this league, and we got a visitor. A lot of
Mate,
a lot of a lot of decent money in this league, and yeah, we just can't compete. But it's not an excuse because I've been at clubs, I've been with Froome before where we haven't had the biggest of budgets, and you find a way. You have to find a different way, and that's where we're at. So we need to go out and find the next one. We have to go out and find the next hungry young lad who's going to come in and work hard and want to learn and develop and turn into the next best player. And that's where we're at.
so going forward, uh, we presume you'll be continuing as manager for the foreseeable.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I obviously had to consider as well is I don't want to be in this position in yeah after the next defeat, or in a month's time, or in 6 weeks' time, or if the worst happens and we ultimately end up getting relegated. I need to make sure that I've got the energy and the hunger and the desire to go for this season and next and the next one, if that's what it takes. And I have. I work bloody hard at this job, and I'll continue to do that. And I have full belief in myself and the people around me to turn this around. So yeah, I'm going to be there Tuesday. We've got a player meeting tomorrow. Obviously, we're not going to have a chance to train, but we're all going to get together. We're going to have a player meeting and see what we can do between now and Tuesday to address a few things. Go into Tuesday's game with a positive mindset. We've hit absolute rock bottom, so there's only one way, and that's to try and climb this league table now. So that's what we'll be doing. We'll be working hard. Um, there's a lot of exciting things happening behind the scenes as well in terms of the change rooms now finally being developed, and there's some exciting things happening behind the scenes in terms of the shape of the board and potential new directors coming in to help. And I've spoken to those people as well, and they're of the same mindset of the board statement that's gone out, that they're fully supportive, and that's great for me as well. I want to be here. I think this club has more growth within it, and I think I'm the man to drive the club forward.
Well, I think we'll wrap it up there on a positive note.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, game on Tuesday against Hamwell is going to be another challenging one. On a Tuesday night, getting into London. You've done that trip a few times.
Yeah.
So we'll prepare properly. Hope as many fans as possible. I appreciate the logistical challenge, so it'll probably be a tough one. But anybody who's coming down, get behind the boys. We'll try and put a performance in that you'd be proud of, and let's try and get some points on the board if we possibly can, and try and get our season going. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough, but we all stick together. There's positive times ahead, and that's what we got to hope. That's what we got to cling on to, is that little bit of hope, hard work, and ultimately we'll hopefully get a bit of luck along the way as well.
Well, thank you very much, Danny. Chin up the next few days and good luck.
Cheers. Thank you.